What would happen if every financial advisor in America was forced to recommend Bitcoin to their clients? Most people think the next wave of Bitcoin adoption will come from banks or hedge funds, but they're missing something huge that's happening right under our noses. Financial advisors managing over $20 trillion in wealth are about to face a career-defining decision. In this video, I'm going to reveal why financial advisors are being forced to change their stance on Bitcoin, show you exactly which institutions are next in line to buy, and explain why this shift could happen much faster than anyone expects. To help us understand what's really happening, I sat down with Jim Crider, a financial advisor who's been helping wealthy families navigate Bitcoin for years. Jim has a perfect track record of convincing his clients to buy Bitcoin, and his average client now has 45% of their portfolio in Bitcoin. What makes Jim's perspective unique is that he actually worked inside the traditional financial system before starting his own firm. What I'm about to share comes from our conversation on the TFTC podcast, where we're seeing this transformation happening in real time. If you're enjoying this type of content, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This is just a small portion of my full conversation with Will on the TFTC podcast. You can find the link to the full episode in the description below. First, let's understand how the current system is failing investors.
They were talking about their Fidelity advisor. He's like, yeah, they call me once a quarter, and some 24-year-old who is just reading from the script of products they've been told to sell this quarter.
That's I worked maybe there or somewhere like there. I get in trouble all the time for talking about tax stuff, or you're limited on. There's someone on Twitter the other day who put on they're asking about buying Bitcoin. They want to help their mom buy Bitcoin at Fidelity, but their advisor always tells them no. It's that's because they can only sell these 3 model portfolios or whatever. That's it. And there's nothing personal about it. There's nothing about leaving the script.
What Jim is describing here is the robotic nature of modern financial advice, and it's worse than most people realize. These big financial institutions like Fidelity have turned financial planning into something that resembles fast food, standardized, scripted, and ultimately unhelpful for the individual. When he talks about advisors reading from scripts and being limited to specific model portfolios, he's highlighting how the financial industry has stripped away the personal touch that should come with managing someone's life savings. It's like going to a doctor who can only prescribe 3 different medications, regardless of what's actually wrong with you. This is particularly problematic when it comes to Bitcoin, because these advisors aren't allowed to think outside their prescribed box, even if their clients are specifically asking about it. The industry has created a system where advisors are essentially customer service representatives reading from a script rather than actual financial advisors providing thoughtful guidance. The real tragedy here is that millions of Americans are trusting their financial futures to a system that's designed to sell products rather than provide genuine advice. These model portfolios and scripts aren't created to help you build wealth. They're created to generate fees for the institution while minimizing their legal liability. Here's what financial advisors aren't telling you.
I hear a lot BlackRock owns it and Fidelity and stuff, so it's going to be it must be a conversation piece amongst financial advisors. I talk to financial advisors all the time. Most of them think I'm an idiot, completely write me off. And they're not talking about Bitcoin. If they are, actually, I had a reporter reach out to me last week about Bitcoin adoption. He was like, man, you're the first person who would even talk to me. Everyone else, when I tell them, he said, I'm just writing a piece on, are you getting more clients or questions about Bitcoin from clients? And he said, the moment I say that, they just hang up on me. And it's you know why? It's because they are, but they're so tired of their clients asking about it.
Despite major financial institutions like BlackRock and Fidelity making moves in the Bitcoin space, the reality on the ground with financial advisors is completely different. What Jim reveals here is fascinating. There's this massive disconnect between what's happening at the institutional level and what's happening at the advisor level. When he mentions that advisors won't even talk to reporters about Bitcoin, it shows just how sensitive this topic is in the industry. Think about that. These are professional financial advisors refusing to even discuss something their clients are actively asking about. At 1031, we see this regularly. Large institutions are starting to embrace Bitcoin, while their own advisors are still treating it like it doesn't exist. This creates a strange situation where the very people who are supposed to be guiding clients through financial decisions are actively avoiding discussions about what could be one of the most significant financial innovations of our time. The pressure is building, though. More clients are asking questions, and advisors can't ignore it forever. What's particularly interesting is that these advisors are stuck between a rock and a hard place. They know their clients want Bitcoin exposure, but their institutions won't let them talk about it. This tension is creating a perfect storm that's forcing many clients to look elsewhere for guidance, potentially triggering a massive shift in how Americans manage their wealth. This is where things get really interesting for Bitcoin.
Institutions are going to send a group of advisors to like a 1 or 2 day training course on like what is Bitcoin and how do you sell it. They're going to come back and feel all hyped up so they can finally sell this new product and make a bunch of money off of it. So then you're going to start seeing an institutional or a managed money adoption of Bitcoin from that perspective. But we're not there yet. The first people to adopt it will be more of like the old school, like wirehouse broker dealer types, like a Morgan, Merrill, BlackRock, people like that who are selling it as a product, not selling it as advice. The last people to adopt it will be, I don't know, maybe like the Ed Joneses or something like that, because they're sort of taking their time on things.
This prediction about how Bitcoin will be integrated into traditional financial advice is pretty spot on based on what we're seeing at 1031. The big financial institutions aren't going to suddenly become Bitcoin believers. They're going to do what they've always done, figure out how to make money from it. When Jim talks about these quick training courses and advisors coming back hyped up, he's describing the commoditization of Bitcoin knowledge. These institutions will turn Bitcoin into just another product to sell, stripping away much of what makes it revolutionary in the first place. The separation he makes between selling it as a product versus selling it as advice is crucial. The big wirehouses like Morgan Stanley and Merrill Lynch will likely move first because they're set up to sell products, while more traditional advisory firms like Edward Jones will move slower because they focus more on long-term planning. It's a bit ironic that the biggest institutions might adopt Bitcoin first, not because they understand or believe in it, but simply because they see a way to make money from it. Now you understand why Wall Street's next move into Bitcoin is so critical for your money, but here's what's even more important: knowing how to properly secure that Bitcoin before these institutions drive the price higher. In our last video, I explain exactly why you need to get your Bitcoin off exchanges and onto a hardware wallet right now. I share a fascinating conversation with Will Tanner about how the wealthiest families in history preserved their wealth through generations and how their strategies apply perfectly to Bitcoin today. Click here to watch that next. It might be the most important thing you do with your Bitcoin. And if you're serious about understanding how to preserve your wealth in the Bitcoin age, subscribe to the channel where we break down these crucial developments every single day. Thanks for watching, stack sats, and stay humble.